Bucks Nets. Oh boy, we got a lot to talk about here. Oh boy, the Milwaukee Bucks, Mario, not the Brooklyn Nets. No, no, no. If you're a Nets fan and you're still dreaming whether or not this is real, no, this is reality, buddy. The Milwaukee Bucks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals, not the Brooklyn Nets. The Milwaukee Bucks going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I gotta give them a lot of credit, Mario. They did everything they had to do. Game 7 was down to the wire. That one went to overtime, but the Milwaukee Bucks hung on to win 115 to 111, and they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals to face the Atlanta Hawks. These playoffs are very, very interesting, Mario. This year they are very interesting. Um, I'll go to game one. The Nets won this one, 115, 107 points. Giannis led this one by 34, and then rebounds. Blake Griffin led by 14. Um, game two was an absolute blowout. Mario, it was 125 to 86. Brooklyn Nets won this game. Kevin Durant led with points with 32, and Giannis led by rebounds with 11 of them. Then in game three, the tide started to shift because that's when everybody started to get injured, Mario. Bucks won this one 86 to 83. Chris Middleton led in points and in rebounds. He had 35 points and 15 rebounds. Milwaukee Bucks won game four, 107 to 96. Points, Giannis led by 34, and in rebounds, Kevin Durant led by 13. Game five, this was one hell of a game, Mario. The Brooklyn Nets won this one 114 to 108. Kevin Durant not only led in points, but in rebounds. He had a 49-point triple-double in this game, Mario. And he had 17 rebounds to top it off. That is absolutely ridiculous. And then the Milwaukee Bucks came in, won game six, 104 to 89, Mario. Points, Chris Middleton led that with 38, and Giannis led the rebound with 17. And then game seven, Bucks won 115 to 111. I'm starting to see a bit of a trend here, Mario, and I'll get to that in a second. Kevin Durant in game seven led this with points with 48, and Giannis led in rebounds in 13. You're really gonna do this to my boy KD? First of all, before I get anywhere else, I don't want to hear any more criticism about Kevin Durant ever again. I don't care if you want to say, "Oh, my GOAT would have never done that. He would have never missed that game-winning shot with an air ball." I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Okay, Kevin Durant did everything he could. There's only so much one human can do for one team, and that just comes to my point. Not a single person can take a team to a championship. I don't want to hear you LeBron fans coming out here. "Oh, LeBron didn't know Kevin loved Kyrie Irving." Don't forget about those two guys. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear no more criticism on Kevin Durant ever again. This guy did everything he could. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. But I look at the Bucks, Mario. They did an absolutely amazing job. Giannis doing his thing. He averaged 31.9 points per game, pretty much 32 points per game. He was averaging 12.9 rebounds again at around 13. He also averaged 3.6 assists, so he was doing a really good job, like we expect out of Giannis, Mario. Chris Middleton was doing really good as well, Mario. He really did step up, Mario. He had 24.3 points average, he had 8.7 average rebounds, and an average 4.3 assists, so he was doing a really, really good job. And same thing with Drew Holiday. He wasn't as good as the series before, but he still did a good job, Mario. He averaged 15.1 points. He also averaged 5.4 rebounds and 6.3 assists. Another guy worth mentioning is Brook Lopez. He averaged 11.4 points per game with 7.4 rebounds. And he also averaged two blocks a game. And I want to go to the Nets. Okay, Kevin Durant averaged 35.4 points per game. That's an insane stat line, Mario. He also averaged 10.6 rebounds and averaged 5.4 assists. And he also averaged 1.6 steals and 1.1 blocks. And you still let this man down. That's crazy. Kyrie Irving averaged 20 points per game before he ended up getting injured. Remember, he sat out for the rest of the series. He also averaged 5 rebounds and 4.3 assists. He also averaged 1.5 blocks. Steals. That was steals. He averaged 1.5 steals. Blake Griffin, Mario, he did a decent job as well. He averaged 12 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 1.7 assists. He also averaged 1 steal a game. James Harden averaged 10.8 points per game, and he also averaged 5.3 rebounds. He had 1.3 steals and 6 assists. So what went wrong for the Brooklyn Nets? Let's talk about it, Mario. First of all, I think not having Kyrie really hurt them. And we talked about it. This is a team where if one of those guys sat out, they could still win the game. But here's the problem. I understand, James Harden was injured for a little bit and he was playing through that injury. Look, okay, I looked at it and I was like, no excuses. And that's true to this day. I still stand by it. No excuses. All right, this team should have went further than what they did, but injuries did get in the way. So I'll give them a partial pass for that. I will give them a partial pass. That's what I will say. But James Harden was playing, and he should have stepped up, and he didn't really step up as much as we expected him. I talk about it all the time. One person can only do so much for a franchise. You know what I mean? So, honestly, Mario, the best way I can describe it for the Brooklyn Nets, what could have went wrong did. That's the best way I can say it for the Brooklyn Nets. And what's next for them? I'll tell you what's next for them. You better damn hope these guys stay. I'm reading a lot of rumors that Spencer Dinwiddie isn't staying with the Brooklyn Nets. So I'm not sure what's going to happen on that front. But you better hope that everybody else stays. And they had a really good season, Mario. It's just injuries got in the way a lot, so they need to stay healthy. But overall, I look in this playoffs, the key players that we expected to step up didn't. That was another factor as to why the Brooklyn Nets lost. And when everybody was stepping up, they were absolutely blowing this team out of the water. Now I go to the Milwaukee Bucks, Mario. I look at it in all of their games. You can make an exception for Game 6, but all the other games, Mario, I look at it, they were very close wins. They were very, very close wins. So, I mean, honestly, you look at the Atlanta Hawks. I don't even want to say if this team is easier or tougher because they made it this far. You know what I mean? And by the way, that Atlanta Hawks team has no all-stars on it, which they should. Very young. But look, that's going to be interesting Eastern Conference Finals for the Milwaukee Bucks. They did it. They did a good job. Defensively, they did a really good job as well. Offensively, again, we expect them to do a good job, and they did. I got to give the Milwaukee Bucks a lot of credit. I did not expect them to win. I don't think anybody did. So give the Milwaukee Bucks a lot more credit than what they deserve. You know what I mean? As for the Brooklyn Nets, again, you better hope everybody stays. That's just what's next for you. You got to make sure these guys stay here. Because if they're gone, this was when I look at the Brooklyn Nets, okay? They got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. What does that sound like to you? To me, that sounds like win now. It's not win in 5 years. Okay, when you have those three players, it's not win in 5 years mode. No, it's win now mode. It's win now or go home. And they went home. So you better hope these guys come back next year, and you better hope that you win the finals next year. It's the best way I can describe it. I expect this team to win the finals within these next few years. They're in win now mode. This isn't win in 5 years mode. Win now. And that's really the best I can say with the Brooklyn Nets. And I look at it this year, and again, whatever could have went wrong did, and that's just what happened with them. So with that being said, best of luck to the Brooklyn Nets in the offseason. Again, it's back to the drawing board, and hopefully everything goes the way they expect it to for next season. As for the Milwaukee Bucks, they face the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's going to be a very, very exciting series. I'm going to enjoy watching that, Mario. So best of luck to the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'll pass on to you.
Yeah, well, first of all, Nate, first of all, Giannis and Kevin Durant, they absolutely put on a show. They absolutely did. I mean, when you look at those stats, those are ridiculous stats, but those are great players, and we expect great things out of them. First of all, congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks on advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. I wish them the best of luck against the Atlanta Hawks. As for the Brooklyn Nets, again, it's back to the drawing board, but let me talk about that, okay? We focus a lot on Giannis, okay, as we should, because Giannis is a great player. We don't focus on the supporting cast and what they did for him defensively, okay? I talked about one guy, Drew Holiday. I talked about him before the series started, okay? Now, Drew Holiday, all right, he was dealt with the task of guarding whether it was Kyrie Irving or James Harden, all right? That's the task that I felt like he should have had. Same thing with Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton guarded a lot of them too. James Harden, this series, Nate, James Harden, shooting-wise, he had He had 0.306. If you want to bump that up to 31%, to each his own. But regardless, that is bad. 31%, 19% from the three. That's how you know he was locked down pretty good. Kyrie Irving, 0.447, and he shot 0.345 from the three. So he shot basically 45% from the field, and then he shot 34.5 from the three. Overall, Nate, I think that the Milwaukee Bucks defenders did a really good job of making their lives difficult. I really do believe that they did a very, very good job with it. Now, James Harden and Kyrie Irving each played 4 games. You know, I think the biggest problem with the Brooklyn Nets, Nate, to be honest with you, and I'm gonna be the first one to admit this because you talked about it a little bit, but not too much, is I said this team is the only team that can have a guy take a day off and win, and I was wrong about that. Okay. And I think the one thing that we did from the media to the fans, what we all did was we hyped this Brooklyn Nets team up way too much. All right. That's the one thing we did. But the problem is what we didn't look at, we seen it, but we didn't comprehend what was going on, is the fact that this Brooklyn Nets big three didn't barely even play with each other. You know, they played like less than I think a quarter of the season with each other. So I mean, what do we again? And my question was how much Kevin Durant was going to play. He played 7 games. My question wasn't what Kyrie Irving and James Harden were going to do. I thought they were going to play 7 games, no problem. It turns out that Kevin Durant was the workhorse in this playoff series. That's what shocked me the most, is the fact that Kevin Durant played 7 games and Kyrie Irving and James Harden, again, only played 4. Now, injuries obviously plagued them, this year and everything like that. But again, now I'm getting concerned for the Brooklyn Nets. And the reason why is because you can't do this again next year. You can't only play 30 games together next year. You can't do that. Okay, because let me tell you something. When this big three was together, Nate, they were a dangerous big three. That big three was nearly unstoppable. And then we talked about getting Blake Griffin, and Blake Griffin, we were like, oh my God, we're all done. We're screwed. And Joe Harris was obviously doing good, which Joe Harris did do good, and Blake Griffin did contribute to this team. But overall, I'm looking at it, and now I gotta say this. In order for the Brooklyn Nets to win, that big three has to play together the majority of the season. I'm saying it right now. It's as simple as that, okay? I didn't think James Harden and Kyrie Irving were going to only play 4 games in this playoff series. I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't expect Kevin Durant to play all 7. I expected the other way around. I thought James Harden and Kyrie Irving were going to play all 7, and I thought Kevin Durant was going to play 4, because that's the way it's kind of been. Out of the big three, Nate, I think Kevin Durant has played the least amount of games this regular season. Because he missed the majority of the season. So, but I mean, when you really look at it, Nate, Giannis did an amazing job. Chris Middleton did an amazing job. Drew Holiday did what he was supposed to do. PJ Tucker was an unsung hero, because despite obviously Kevin Durant played fantastic, PJ Tucker still did what he needed to do to kind of make Kevin Durant's life tough at times in this series. So I got to give him a lot of credit too. The Bucks overall have a very good defensive team, which is why this is going to be a very good series against the Atlanta Hawks, because the Atlanta Hawks have a good offensive team. And the Atlanta Hawks do have good defense too. Obviously, Clint Capella has done a great job against Joel Embiid. And we'll talk about that in that series. Obviously, Trae Young, we all know what he's capable of doing. So John Collins doing a great job. So obviously, they got a lot of good factors. But overall, I'll say it like this, Nate. Game 7 was a very good series. It was a very good game. Excuse me. Game 7 was a very good game. It was back and forth. It went into overtime. At the end of the day, the Bucks just did a little bit more to win it. It's as simple as that. But I truly believe this, Nate. If Kevin Durant, oh my God. If Kyrie Irving was to play Game 7, I think the Nets take it. But the problem is this big three did not play together enough. That's the problem. So next year, what I'm expecting is for them to stay and for that big three to play the majority of the season together, because that's how you gain chemistry. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what super team you build. If you don't have chemistry, you don't have nothing. Simple as that. So with that being said, again, I wish the Brooklyn Nets the best of luck in the offseason. As for the Milwaukee Bucks, congratulations to make it into the Eastern Conference Finals. Wish you the best of luck against the Atlanta Hawks, and I think that's going to be a good series.